Today we're going to dig into a warning from history that, honestly, feels like it was written for right now. It's about a danger to our world that isn't what you think it is. It's not about evil or malice. It's something way, way more common.
So let me ask you a question. What if the biggest threat we face isn't evil people plotting to do bad things? What if it's something quieter, something that can take perfectly normal, good-hearted people and turn them into a force for destruction?
You see, a theologian named Dietrich Bonhoeffer saw this force at work. He described it as this powerful psychological current running just under the surface of our everyday lives, and it shapes our world in ways we don't even see.
And he had this incredible metaphor for it. He said it spreads through society like a virus, not a biological one, but a mental one, infecting minds and changing how entire populations behave.
And here's the part that gets really uncomfortable. He warned that you, me, any of us, we could be under its influence right this second and have absolutely no idea. This isn't some loud, obvious enemy. It works in the quiet. So to really get it, we've got to get to know the man who first sounded the alarm.
To understand this threat, we have to meet the person who stared it right in the face. Dietrich Bonhoeffer wasn't some academic writing from a safe, cozy office. No, he was a witness, right in the thick of one of history's darkest moments.
Bonhoeffer lived through a nightmare. He saw with his own eyes how millions of smart, educated, seemingly good people could either actively support or just quietly allow one of the worst atrocities in human history.
He was a German pastor, and when Nazism was on the rise, he was one of the few who chose to think for himself and speak out. And for that courage, he was thrown in prison. He was ultimately executed in April of 1945, just weeks before the war ended. So what he has to say, well, it wasn't born in a library. It was forged in fire.
So from his prison cell, Bonhoeffer tried to make sense of it all. He came up with a diagnosis for what had gone so terribly wrong with his country. He called it a theory of stupidity. But, and this is the most important part, he did not mean what we think he meant.
See, for Bonhoeffer, this kind of stupidity has nothing to do with your IQ. It's a moral failure, a social one. It's that moment when a person, and they can be a brilliant person, just completely surrenders their own critical thinking because they become part of a group, a movement, an ideology. It's like a switch for independent thought just gets flipped off. So let's be super clear on this distinction because it is everything. We usually think of stupidity as, not being smart. But Bonhoeffer's stupidity, that is a learned condition. It's a choice. A voluntary decision to hand over your ability to reason in exchange for the comfort of fitting in with the crowd.
And this transformation, it's chilling. You can have someone who's totally reasonable, logical, and thoughtful in their own life. But in a group setting, they suddenly become, a machine, an automaton, just repeating slogans, talking points, and ideas that aren't even their own.
Okay, so if this is a mental virus, how exactly does it spread? Bonhoeffer realized that this state of collective stupidity, it's not an accident. It's often carefully engineered by people in power who know exactly how to manipulate human psychology.
And the playbook is always the same. First, you create a really simple, emotional story that splits the world in two. There's us and there's them. Good versus evil. Step 2, you just repeat that story relentlessly, over and over and over, until it feels like the absolute truth. And finally, step 3, you crush anyone who dares to ask a question or disagree. You make an example out of them.
And you know why this works so well? Because it never looks like manipulation. It comes wrapped in the most beautiful packaging. Promises of security, of justice, of freedom. People give up their ability to think for themselves willingly because they truly believe they're fighting for something noble.
Now remember, Bonhoeffer was seeing all this happen with tools like the radio. Just imagine what he would say about our world, where we've built the perfect engine to accelerate this whole process, social media. I mean, think about it. Social media is a perfect storm. When something goes viral, there's zero time to think. The algorithms aren't designed for truth or dialogue, they're designed for engagement, and nothing gets you more engaged than conflict. Online mobs can form in seconds to punish anyone who steps out of line. And sharing something stops being about spreading information, and it becomes a ritual, a way to signal I'm one of you, I belong to the right tribe.
He could have never, ever imagined that we would find a way to so perfectly automate this entire process. Our technology has built a system that learns exactly what makes you tick,
what makes you angry, and then it feeds you an endless personalized stream of it.
Okay, so this brings us to the end, and to the most crucial part of Bonhoeffer's message, the personal challenge this puts in front of every single one of us.
This right here, this is why Bonhoeffer said stupidity is more dangerous than evil. Think about it. Someone who is consciously wicked knows they're doing wrong, so they usually have to hide. They operate in the shadows. You can spot them, you can confront them, but collective stupidity, it is absolutely convinced of its own goodness. It marches right down the street, waving flags, convinced it's the hero of the story. It's completely immune to facts, to logic, to evidence. So how on earth do you fight an enemy who is absolutely certain they're on the side of the angels?
Resisting this pull, it has a price. In an age where everyone is shouting the same thing, choosing to think for yourself can be incredibly lonely. Bonhoeffer knew this firsthand. It's a heavy, heavy weight to be the only clear-eyed person in a room full of people who are drunk on ideology.
The antidote he offers isn't some loud, cinematic heroism. It's a quieter kind of courage. It's the internal strength to just not repeat the slogan. It's the bravery to ask a simple, maybe even embarrassing question when everyone else thinks the answer is obvious. And it's the maturity to live with uncertainty instead of grabbing onto a comfortable lie.
And that leaves us with his final piercing challenge. It's a choice we all face every single day in every article we click, every post we share. Will you do the difficult, sometimes lonely work of actually thinking for yourself? Or will you let the group, the algorithm, the ideology, do your thinking for you? That choice, Bonhoeffer warns us, may be the one that defines our entire future.